quiet displacement is happening. The real risk isn't that AI replaces you. It's that you get left behind by the person in the next seat who uses AI and knows themselves. That shifts the locus of control entirely back to us. The technology isn't the ceiling anymore. We are. Today I'm taking you through 7 core shifts, moving you from manual conversational prompting to true architectural AI design. Because the way most people interact with these models right now is fundamentally broken. They are treating a supercomputer like a search engine. Here's a framing analogy I want you to hold on to. Standard AI usage today is like trying to drive a high-performance vehicle by only staring at the steering wheel. You tweak the phrasing, you turn the wheel left and right, but you have no idea how the engine processes the fuel. You don't know the rules of the road, and you haven't programmed the GPS. Today I'm going to teach you how to build the roads, program the destination, and orchestrate the entire transit system. And that analogy cuts to the core problem. Professionals obsess over perfect technical syntax, the steering wheel. But if you lack the human cognitive agility to read the terrain, you'll drive that high-performance vehicle very fast, very efficiently, straight into a wall. The human skills are the foundation that makes every AI discipline function at all. Flexible thinking. The first shift, the prerequisite to everything else, is flexible thinking. And I want to go beyond the buzzwords, because there's a specific cognitive trap we all fall into when staring at a blank chat interface under pressure. Cognitive lock-in. Under stress, your brain retreats to its most comfortable mode. If you're analytical, you prompt the AI to find the flaws. If you're creative, you ignore the constraints entirely. And if you're a systems thinker, you might get paralyzed mapping all dependencies before you even write your first instruction. The true mark of cognitive agility is a conscious gear shift, the real-time awareness to catch yourself and switch modes. That internal shift maps directly to the first architectural discipline, context engineering, building the roads. An AI holds essentially the entire internet's latent knowledge, but knows nothing about the specific, messy reality of your organization unless you engineer that environment. And the data dump is not engineered context, it's noise. Real context engineering uses all 3 modes. You critically define hard constraints as absolute boundaries. You creatively introduce lateral analogies for niche concepts. And you use systems thinking to map the dependencies. When you do that, you've built a customized, bounded reality for the AI to reason with it. It knows the roads. Emotional intelligence. Even perfect context fails if you hand the AI the wrong destination. Which brings us to the second shift, emotional intelligence. Not as a soft skills training, but as the concrete capacity to read what the data can't see. An AI is a next token prediction engine. It's math. It has no limbic system. So why does your emotional intelligence matter to a math equation? Because that equation is completely blind to subtext. Think about the classic passive-aggressive email. You tell a colleague, fine, just execute the presentation. however you think is best. A human with emotional intelligence reads immediately that you're exhausted, resentful, and abdicating responsibility. The AI reads the statistical the AI reads the statistical probability of best and executes literally the presentation. And literally executes the presentation. It takes you at your word. It misses your entire underlying goal. This maps to the second discipline, intent engineering, the GPS, translating a messy emotional reality into a concrete, executable machine strategy. So here's the scenario. You're in a project status meeting. The dashboard is green, every milestone complete, but you notice the lead developer refuses to make eye contact with the product manager. Dead silence from the marketing director. The spreadsheet screams success. Your empathy is screaming imminent failure. If you just ask the AI to summarize the project status, it outputs project on track, proceed to phase 2. You've just used a powerful tool to accelerate your trajectory toward failure. Instead, you engineer the real intent. You instruct the AI, analyze this transcript, ignore the stated project status, act as a behavioral analyst, map dialogue ratios between the PM and lead developer, identify hedge in language, abrupt topic changes, passive agreement, formulate 3 hypotheses about hidden bottlenecks in phase 2. That is a paradigm shift. You are using the AI not to validate the data, but to stress test the emotional subtext you picked up on. 3. Collaborative intelligence. You've engineered the context and encoded the true intent. Now you have to align this with a team of real humans. So the third shift is collaborative intelligence, moving from coordination to shared meaning. AI is an unparalleled engine for coordination, merging work streams. AI is an unparalleled engine for coordination. AI is an unparalleled engine for coordination, merging work streams, cross-referencing schedules, outputting a Gantt chart in seconds. But coordination is just moving chess pieces. It doesn't tell you why you are playing the game. It's information versus meaning. AI can summarize 50 market research reports and tell you a competitor cut prices by 10%. That's information. But meaning is human negotiation. Does that 10% cut represent a threat demanding a race to the bottom, or a golden opportunity to position ourselves as a premium alternative? Humans have to sit together, look at the AI's output, and negotiate. This redefines leadership entirely. Pre-AI, power went to the person who hoarded information the best. That leader is now redundant. The machine is the oracle. The new leader becomes the facilitator of emergence, engineering the psychological safety for the team to debate the AI's output and forge shared meaning. That human alignment creates the foundation for specification engineering, the traffic laws. Before you deploy any autonomous agent, you have to write a specification, acceptance criteria, fail-safes, operational boundaries. And the critical insight is that writing a robust specification is not a coding skill. It's a collaborative negotiation skill. One peer review of your agent specification will surface assumptions that are invisible to you, but fatal to deployment. Collaborative intelligence is the mechanism by which hidden assumptions get uncovered before the AI acts on them at scale. 4. Intuition. You set everything up perfectly. You push the button. The AI generates the output. And before you've even analyzed it, something in your gut feels off. That psychological reaction is our 4th shift. Intuition. Not mystical nonsense. Embodied intelligence. The massive unstructured dataset your nervous system has been recording since the day you were born. Your conscious brain holds a handful of variables in working memory. But your body remembers the pattern of every failed project, every toxic client, every successful negotiation across your entire career. This maps directly to prompt craft, the engine. When the AI generates thousands of words in seconds, you cannot run a 12-point analytical rubric on every paragraph. Your workflow grinds to a halt. You have to process output at the speed of feeling. Think of a master conductor in front of a symphony orchestra. The sheet music is perfect. Every musician is playing exactly what is written. But the conductor hears a microscopic dissonance in the woodwinds. They don't need an oscilloscope. Their embodied intelligence feels it instantly. They don't pick up an instrument themselves and fix it. They give a precise instruction. That's prompt craft. The AI generates a client email. The grammar is flawless, the facts are accurate, but your intuition detects something slightly off. Too transactional, not enough warmth for this particular client. And you iterate. Adjust the second paragraph to be 20% more conversational and acknowledge the client's region budget cuts with empathy. The AI generates possibilities. Human intuition is the final filter for reality. Knowing when to reject a mathematically perfect answer because it violates your embodied wisdom, that is the mark of the master. That is the mark of the master orchestrator. 5. Innovation. When you bring flexible thinking, emotional intelligence, collaborative intelligence, and intuition together and pair them with advanced AI architecture, something remarkable happens. The 5th shift. Innovation emerges. My framework is clear on one thing. Innovation is not a process. It's emergent synergy. You don't do innovation. It arises from the ecosystem you build. The biggest threat to that ecosystem is what I call organisational antibodies. Every established system has them. The immediate chorus of legal will never approve this. We tried something similar in 2019 and it failed. Deeply ingrained reflexes that automatically attack new ideas. Here's the terrifying paradox. AI can supercharge those antibodies. Hand AI to an organization that lacks my 5 cognitive shifts, and they'll use it to automate their bureaucracy faster. They'll use a revolutionary technology to build a more perfect prison. But the true orchestrator bypasses the antibodies. Here's one concrete technique. Run an 8-minute team sprint, generate 20 radical solutions to a core business problem, quantity over quality, complete suspension of disbelief. With just humans, the antibodies kill it at idea number 3. But bring an AI agent in as a co-creator. Use context engineering to tell it to ignore budgetary and legal constraints, and use intent engineering to demand lateral, rule-breaking concepts. The AI doesn't have social anxiety. It will generate 20 widely divergent ideas without flinching. Idea number 18 might be impractical, but 2 will contain the seed of a genuine paradigm shift the team would have never reached alone, because the antibodies would have blocked the path. AI provides fearless expansion. Humans provide contextual filtration. That is emergent synergy. 6. The architecture. Let me now pull together the 4 disciplines and briefly introduce the frontier. Prompt craft, the engine. Conversational fluency, rapid intuition-based iteration. Context engineering, the roads, building the information landscape and defining constraints. 3. Intent engineering, the GPS, translating emotional reality into strategic goals. And 4. Specification engineering, the traffic laws, blueprints, acceptance criteria, stress-tested assumptions. The highest ROI task an orchestrator can do is build a personal context document, a master file you inject into every new AI session. So the model instantly assumes your operational reality. 4 pillars. Your role, with the specific metrics you are judged on. Your output standards. Your operational knowledge. And this is where it becomes an art. The unwritten organizational rules. The shadow structure. The political reality. When you encode that in that 4th pillar, the AI's advice goes from generic platitudes to surgical, precise, highly localized strategies. Now the frontier. A 2025 Stanford research on agentic context engineering, the ACE loop, describes a continuous self-improving cycle built into autonomous AI agents. They define 3 distinct roles: a generator that executes a task and outputs a visible reasoning trace, a reflector that analyzes the trace against original intent, identifies where logic diverged, and synthesizes a concrete rule, and 3rd, a curator that manages long-term memory, deduplicates against existing rules, and integrates the lesson into the AI's core operating context. The generator acts, the reflector critiques, the curator updates, the loop repeats. The result in the research of 14.8% performance improvement on complex agentic tasks, entirely without human labeled training data. The machine learns from the friction of its own mistakes. Here's what makes it profound. What is the reflector, if not a gear shift? What is a curator, if not a system for shared meaning? These AI architectures are doing computationally what my cognitive agility frameworks ask us to do as humans. 7. The Orchestrator Blueprint. Theory without application is just entertainment. So here's the synthesis. Map all 9 dimensions: flexible thinking, emotional intelligence, collaborative intelligence, intuition, innovation, prompt craft, context engineering, intent engineering, and specification engineering. Then identify 2 things ruthlessly: your anchor strength and your critical bottleneck. Your strength is the wedge. If your background is in psychology and emotional intelligence is your anchor, you don't start by learning Python. You lead through intent engineering. You become the person who translates complex human dynamics into precise AI strategy. But the bottleneck caps your potential. But the bottleneck caps your potential. If you are brilliant at prompt craft but have no collaborative intelligence, you will generate beautifully optimized output that your team rejects. The gap between a competent AI user and a true 10x orchestrator has nothing to do with knowing secret prompt words. It's exactly building better contextual and emotional infrastructure. So here's the challenge. Build a 30-day orchestrator plan. Not across all 9 dimensions, that's impossible. 3 concrete actions, focused on 1 critical bottleneck. If it's context engineering, spend the next week building the 4 pillars of your personal context document. Just that. If it's intuition, every time the AI generates a strategy, spend 2 minutes mapping your psychological gut reaction before you look at the metrics. That's it. And then, 1 deliberate step. Repair 1 part of your foundation. Here's my closing thoughts. AI systems are now building generators, reflectors, and curators into their own architecture, continuously auditing their actions, learning from failure, iteratively evolving their own context. They are engaging in a computational form of deep reflection. At the same moment, everything in my framework argues. At the same time, everything in my framework argues that we humans need to do the same. Catch our cognitive biases, regulate our emotional exhaust, iteratively refine our shared meaning. So the real provocation to take with you is this. As we build these reflective loops into the architecture of AI, are we teaching AI to be more human? Or is the rise of this hyper-reflective intelligence finally forcing us, for the first time in history, to stop acting like automated machines and actually master our own humanity? Think about that the next time you open your interface. Build your context, engineer your intent, and take your first step as a true AI orchestrator. I'm Steff. Talk to you soon.